Did you have a good time in London?
It was lovely. It was really good to meet everyone. And London is just such a puzzle to me. Like, not that I come from like, the middle of nowhere, but obviously Glasgow's so tiny compared to London. And Alex and Claire, who sort of run Nordic Watch List, I owe them a big thank you, because I basically needed like a big like location pin on my head at all times, because I had no idea where I was going. And obviously they travel to London like for work and stuff like that. So they were like, when you come out of the airport, turn left, then take the next right, and then you'll be on the shuttle and stuff like that. So I appreciate those instructions. And then I got to chat to Smari, who's the director of the Home Game, which I covered for Glasgow Film Festival as well, which was so lovely. He was super chatty, really friendly, and he really likes Scottish people because we're practically Vikings anyway, because we're neighbours, So, and we were talking about all the Icelandic people that have played for Celtic, which was nice.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really good. And then got to meet a few other people as well. So Nina from Visit Denmark was there as well, and her partner's Glaswegian. So she was asking about pints of venom and pizza crunch, which obviously is the culture that you impart to somebody when you come from Glasgow. So it was nice. I've never been to the BFI before as well, so that was lovely. I feel like a proper film person now that I've been.
Excellent, good stuff. BFI is really nice. I've only been once, it was years ago, and it was great. I loved it.
It's so nice, because we were obviously in the bar, but we were in this we sat outside at first because it was actually quite mild. And then we went in, we had a table booked in the sort of upstairs like bar area, but it was so lovely to see people coming in and out of like screenings and stuff like that. And obviously they had a beautiful big poster for In the Mood for Love, which literally must have been about 20 feet tall, like over this big wall. And I was just standing gawping at it. I was like, this is incredible. So it must be so lovely to have something like that on your doorstep, because they have loads of events and there's always loads of actors there doing talks and stuff like that. So they're really lucky to have something like that. But yeah, London is just a minefield. Like, I was following people and they were like, oh, so you get on this tube, then you jump off here and blah, blah, blah. And I just have no sense of direction. So I was glad that I was with people that knew the city really well, because I was just floating. I had no idea where I was going.
Yeah, that's fair enough, yeah. Like you say, Glasgow is very small in comparison.
It's like 3 streets.
Yeah.
It's like Sucky Hall Street, Buchanan Street, and Argyle Street. That is it. That is the city centre, really.
Yeah, whereas London's got probably a dozen city centres dotted about. All the different areas have. But it's just massive. It's incredible when you actually go down. You see the number of people, and on any given day,
Yeah.
Sort of midweek and a Wednesday and things like that in the middle of London's mobbed. But it's really weird being sort of around the sort of business district at the weekend, because it's really quiet. Like right, sort of the whole sort of city of London can be really quiet at the weekend, because all the sort of offices are closed, and all the businesses that are supported by the offices, like all the wee coffee shops and sandwich places and all that, they don't open at the weekends because there's no business to be had, and it's like deserted streets and all this. It's just very, very strange compared to like a Monday or a Tuesday. But I suppose it's the way of it, isn't it? Business and all that in big cities.
So yeah, no, definitely good. And a couple of people like Sarah, who I've met through like Well Good Movies as well, and she does vampire videos as well. It was lovely to meet her, and she's going to come up for Glasgow Film Fest as well. So we're going to grab like a wee dinner or something while she's up. So
nice, good stuff.
But she stays in Cardiff as well, so I feel like that's probably more of a size with Glasgow in terms of maybe. But yeah, so it just I find, having only been to London maybe like a handful of times, I always find it really overwhelming, because there's just thousands of people everywhere. Like, it's not like you walk up a street and then there's nothing. It's just there's thousands of people everywhere you go. So I always find that really strange. It's like being in Rome almost. Like, Rome is the same kind of busy level as that. Yeah, it's a very, very strange thing. But yeah, I think they were going to actually like make me wear a ribbon or something in my hair so that they could see me at all times, because obviously I'm so short as well. When you're moving through a crowd, it's like it's really hard to keep up with everyone. So however many steps they did, I think I did double, because my wee legs were working overtime to try and keep up.
You need the thing with the tour guide where they've got the umbrella with the wee flag on top.
Exactly that. Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, it was a lovely weekend. It was such a good laugh, and I was very well taken care of in terms of being guided to and from the airport as well. So I didn't get lost. So it was really good, and it was lovely to meet everyone. You never know kind of how these things are going to go, because you obviously like write with people and stuff like that, and there's maybe a wee group chat, but if you've never actually met, but it was really good fun. It was lovely.
Excellent. Oh, good stuff. Okay, let us do what we've been watching. You got your notes there?
Yes, I absolutely do.
All right, I'm just checking, just in case you go. Just get my notes.
No. Yeah, no, they're all here.
Cool. Okay, so Mary, what have you been watching?
So much, actually. I started watching The Franchise, which I absolutely love. So it's from the mind of Armando Iannucci, and it's Daniel Bruhl starring as this beleaguered director of, it's obviously meant to be a sort of like piss take of the Marvel films. And Richard E. Grant and Billy Magnussen are the stars of the film, and those two together are so hilarious. Like, I absolutely love this. Like, I think what's amazing is that Richard E. Grant's character is very much of the, I'm going to get cancelled if I say this, and it's, he's coming out with the worst hot takes ever, and Billy Magnussen just is desperate for like attention and adoration, and Daniel Bruhl's just having a nervous breakdown and retreating back to his wee caravan like every episode because he can't cope with budgets getting cut. And there's a producer that's on set. It's the guy from Ozark, I can't remember his name. But basically every episode he comes in and he's like, right, so we're taking these characters and moving them into this other film as part of the franchise. The studio has said that you can't have these characters anymore, and they're literally in the middle of shooting a scene. It is so funny. Like, I highly recommend. And the episodes are only like half an hour, 40 minutes, so you just fly through them. They're one a week on, I think it's Sky Atlantic. It's absolutely brilliant. I also watched The Trip on Netflix because I believe that is going to be remade with Samara Weaving. So this particular version stars Namira Pass and Axel Henny, the guy from Headhunters. Absolutely just not what I was expecting. It kind of starts off as this sort of dark comedy, and then it's just dark and really, really violent, like extremely violent. There's a sort of home invasion scenario that goes on, and it's just... it's absolutely brutal, but it's very, very well done, and it's very tight. I think it's only like an hour and a half, so it's definitely one of those films that doesn't outstay its welcome, really good at what it does. And I just kind of wondered what a remake of that would look like as well, because Namira Pass obviously is quite well known and just really good role, so just kind of intrigued to see how that is. So that's on Netflix. That's good. I watched The Vampire Lovers for the Vamp Videos podcast, and quite honestly, the less said about that. I also watched Kneecap on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend. I absolutely love their music, and I missed this in the cinema because it was the GFT, and it's on Prime, and it's fantastic. It's obviously sort of a kind of piss take of their life story, but there's some brilliant scenes as well. Like, one of the boys goes out of his way to have sex with Protestants, and he shouts "Chucky our lad" during sex and stuff like that. Like, it's so funny, and obviously their music is great as well. So if you like that sort of thing. The Vourdelac is also on Amazon Prime, which was my favourite film from Glasgow Film Festival. Having rewatched it, I think it totally holds up. It's very weird, and it's definitely not going to be for everyone. I can see a lot of people maybe giving up on it after about half an hour or so, because it's one of those films where nothing happens but everything happens. So definitely worth checking out, though. I also watched Immaculate, which I didn't love as much as The First Omen, but I will say that I think that's the most I've seen Sydney Sweeney act. I thought she was very, very good in it. But I do think it's bizarre that both those films came out at the exact same time, and it's the exact same story. I just don't understand. Obviously, it's different studios, but I just don't understand how they got made, and yeah, bizarre.
Apparently, Immaculate has been kicking about for 10 years. Sydney Sweeney was...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd read a wee bit about it because I watched it this week as well, and she was offered the main role 10 years ago in the film. And I know, I don't know, they must have rejigged it to make it seem slightly older, but it never came to anything. But she was always still interested in it, and she managed to get the rights to it a couple of years ago and get it off the ground again. So, So it's been around for a while, and I think this, like you say, the timing of that and The First Omen like coming out within months of each other. Yeah, I know, spooky.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe there is a conspiracy there after all. I also watched Bullshit, which is Milad Alami's new biker gang series, which is on Viaplay, which you can get through Amazon. So Milad Alami had a film at the Glasgow Film Festival as well called Opponent. And if you like his style of sort of camera work, that kind of like really intense sort of almost documentary style sort of shaky cam, it's very much present here. It's a series that charts the bit like the Bike Riders, the true story of a Danish biker gang who were around in the late 70s, early 80s. And the violence in that is just like, there's blood smeared all over the camera at one point as well, because there's just this really chaotic bar brawl and the camera's sort of spinning everywhere, and all you're hearing is like knuckles meeting flesh and stuff like that, and bones breaking. It's really good, but it's also obviously very sad, and you sort of understand why people are drawn to these kind of gangs and, what they're looking for and sort of finding a kind of replacement family. So that was really interesting, worth checking out. Also watched Kronos for the first time. I've never seen that. Chris has been on at me for ages to watch it. We finally sat down last Sunday night to watch it. Really excellent. I love the concept of it, that there's that basically anyone can become obviously immortal with the possession of this little device. And I thought it was really well done. Nice sort of early, I think, Del Toro work as well. So you can sort of see how he kind of sets himself up for his later career with a very sort of distinct style and sort of sense of humour and stuff like that. I really like that. Also had a preview of La Palma, which is coming to Netflix soon. Again, sort of based on a true story. There is a volcano in La Palma in the Canary Islands that is due to erupt, and this series obviously imagines what that might look like. Spoilers, fucking awful is the is the result of that. So that was good. It was only 4 episodes, again, so just super tight, and really there was a couple of scenes that really had me quite scared. And I also watched My Favourite Wife on BBC iPlayer last night, which was such a joy. Like, it's obviously not an out and out screwball like Bringing Up Baby or something like that, but there's some moments where just Cary Grant's timing and like there's a few eye rolls or stuff like that. I just thought this is so perfect. And I didn't realize that Move Over Darling is a remake of that film. I'd never joined those dots before, so it was lovely to see that. And I've also downloaded a few other sort of classics off iPlayer, because they've got like Laura and The Shop Around the Corner on there. There's loads and loads of good films on there, so that'll be some nice viewing. I also powered my way through more episodes of The Rest is Entertainment. I thought that I really, really loved that podcast, and there's been a few sort of takes on, like, as I was saying to you before, like clickbait and all that sort of thing, which I really enjoy listening to their perspective on it, as obviously people who work in the industry. And I've done a bit of reading, so I read How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, which was so up my street. It was unreal. It was just like jigsaw piece after jigsaw piece, keeping you going right until the end. And, lovely big twist. I really, really enjoyed that. And I read Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano, which is up there as like book of the year. Really, really good, really sad sort of story of a couple who get together and how their life sort of pans out through illnesses and family and divorce and all this sort of thing. It was so touching. I absolutely loved it. And I read Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I haven't seen the series, I read the book. It's a fairly hefty book to get through, but I love that kind of family saga where you've got maybe the one sort of character or theme that's sort of running through it. That was excellent. And the last thing I read was Witchcraft, A History in 13 Trials by Marion Gibson. And that sort of started off looking at traditional witch trials in the sense of like the Vardo witches and the Berwick witches and all that sort of thing. And then sort of moved through time to look at how witch hunts still exist, like via the press now, and how people are still sort of technically on trial for either a set of beliefs or who they appear to be as a person, sort of seen as an outsider or whatever. So yeah, that's everything that's been keeping me occupied since we've last spoke.
Nice. That's a fairly extensive
list. A hefty list, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, well done. Nice. For myself, it's not been as busy for what particular reason. I've been watching a lot of stuff, sort of it's ongoing stuff that I've mentioned before, the likes of like Young Sheldon, for instance. I'm powering my way through that. It's like on its sort of third season, but 20 minutes at a time. It's so easy to watch like 3 or 4 episodes on the bounce and just not really think about it at all. But movie-wise, on Thomas's recommendation, I watched It's What's Inside. It's a body swap thriller horror film.
Mm.
It's a group of people who meet up again for the first time in about 10 years or something, and some of them have kept in touch, and there's old rivalries and sort of love interests and stuff in between them, and it's on the eve of one of them getting married, and they meet up at this guy's house, and one guy who had disappeared for about 10 years turns up with this suitcase and says, I've been working on this new invention. And basically they plug wee sort of probes onto their temples, and he switches things about on this sort of panel in the suitcase, and basically they swap it's basically like they describe it, it's a hard drive being transferred from one person to another, and you basically become the other person. And then they try and figure it, and it's basically set up as this is a game, and you've got to figure out who the other person is. And they do a round of it, and everybody's quite, oh, that was real funny, you know, it was quite interesting and all that. And then they do a second round, and it's not quite as happy and jolly, and things and stuff starts to happen. It's a real messed up film. Just trying to keep up with who is in whose body and everything, because they don't tell you right away at the start of each round who's in whose body, and you've got to try and figure this out from the personality traits from the people and all this, and it's just all over the place.
Is this in English?
Yes, yeah. It's a US film.
It sounds really similar. Do you know how the guy from Cleo, Dimitri
Yes.
Shad, so he directed and wrote a film, I think it's called In My Skin. It was a Glasgow Film Festival last year. And it sounds really similar to that. And it's about like, you go to this this was a retreat, and it was people who all swapped, and you had to sort of keep up with who was inside whose body.
Right, yeah. Sounds similar, yeah.
That sounds really similar. That's why I was wondering if it was the same film. Is that on anywhere that I can have a watch?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, excellent. Right, I'll take a look.
I'd seen it when it got released. It popped up on my the algorithm, fed it directly, tried to feed it directly into my brain. So
yeah, exactly.
And I saw it, but then just after that, Simi had seen it and he posted it on the chat saying, watch this, it's really messed up. And I thought, oh, that sounds quite promising. Yeah. So that was pretty good. I rewatched Dune Part 2 because Leslie hadn't seen it, and we were wanting to watch it ahead of watching Dune Prophecy, the TV show on Sky Atlantic.
Oh, yeah, that's Travis Fimmel and Mark Strong. I think that's in that, isn't it? It's
correct. Yeah. Obviously, there's no real link between the Dune.
Oh, is there not? Right.
No, Dune Prophecy sent 10,000 years before the events of Dune.
No, so not even close. 10,000 years before.
Yeah, it's the origins of the Bene Gesserit,
right?
And how they came into being in the first place, and how they started to actually influence all the sort of great houses and everything. And Dune Part 2 holds up really well. They're actually there's a double bill on at the IMAX in Glasgow, I think in the next week or so, and I was kind of like, I could go to that, but then I was thinking, I've seen them both 3 or 4 times now, so do I really want to watch them again? I was like, I don't know.
And you've probably been there for about 6 hours or so.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was good. The Dune Prophecy thing, I've only seen 2-3 episodes of it, and it's it's getting there. It should be fairly decent. There's a lot of story to be had in it, and a lot of intrigue and everything as well. So yeah, it's all very good. Again, another one ahead of watching Cross on Amazon Prime Video. I watched Kiss the Girls, a previous James Patterson.
Oh yeah, I remember that film.
Yeah, with Morgan Freeman as Alex Cross, and that was a kind of a creepy wee sort of turn of the century, like I think it was the 1990s actually, maybe the 2000s, but it was very much of its time. It was a good thriller, and the sort of main cast in it were pretty good. I had a fair idea of who'd done it. I'd seen it. I think I've read the book as well years and years ago, but I'd completely forgotten about the sort of plot points of it. So yeah, it was a good film. And the TV series that has just started is with Alec Cross being a sort of younger analyst, detective stuff. Yeah, and it's pretty decent. It's a pretty good show as well. It's interested me So I think I will continue watching that. So that should be pretty good as well. Last weekend I went to see Wicked at the Cineworld. It's very good. I only knew maybe 2 songs, and I'd never seen the stage version. And no, I've never seen it. And so I knew the sort of basics, the very basics of the story, and went along and thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was really very well staged. The songs were excellent. The performances were generally excellent. The only minor criticism, and it is a very minor criticism, is that some of the singing from the secondary characters was not particularly great, probably because Cynthia Erivo has got such a good voice.
Yeah.
And Ariana Grande as well, obviously. Fantastic voices. They know what they're doing. They've been involved in that sort of world for quite a while now, so they're very good. But in comparison, Jeff Goldblum does not have.
Oh, is he suffering from a bit of the Pierce Brosnans?
No, it's not even nearly as bad as that. He's got a sort of a half decent singing voice, but when you compare it to proper singers, it's nowhere near as good. And Michelle Yeoh as well is in it, and she does not have the best singing voice. It's again not bad, and it's only for one song that she actually sings, but that seems that to me feels a bit picky towards it, because overall.
I do get what you mean, though. And have they added extra songs? Because this is obviously 2.5 hours, and this is just the first half of the stage show.
There's no extra songs so far. There may be in the second half of it, but in this version, what they've done in order to, obviously the numbers, the dance numbers, and the big sort of vocal numbers are longer because they split. It's not just like a song from start to finish with all the actions going on. They have the song with actions, and then there's like bits in between, and then they start singing again. So they've kind of, I wouldn't say padded it out. They're just telling more story as part of it, and it works. I mean, I thought it was excellent. It was great fun. I must say, though, I was at one of the VIP screens in Cineworld to see it, and it's not brilliant. Cineworld is certainly going downhill a wee bit. It's not a great experience anymore. We took the escalators up, and 3 of them weren't working. So they're
never working in Cineworld in town. They are never working.
I know the tallest cinema in Europe, and fucking their escalators don't work most of the time. And when we got, like, I booked tickets for it, and I couldn't get. There was 4 of us, so I couldn't get 4 together. So I got 3 sitting down in the front row, and I was sitting behind, and it was okay. That was fair enough. It's just because it was busy, but. One of the reasons I couldn't get 4 in a row was because the 4th seat was broken, as in the recliners. It's one of these recliner jobs, you know. Yeah. But when we went in, the guy said, you know, if there's any problems with the seats, just give us a shout. And I know this from sort of past experience going to press screens, because they're in these screens. You basically have to switch the chair off and back on again. There's a wee sort of electronic box inside it, and that controls
technical
everything. Yeah, and they just pull the plug on it and put it back in. But I think it was Leslie and Julie. They were sitting in the very front row, and their seats weren't working. The guy came in and tried to fix them and couldn't fix them. So he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. The screen's full. You know, you can't sit anywhere else." But there was already like 5 or 6 seats that were unbookable because they were broken seats as well. And you're thinking, it's kind of not really good enough when you're trying to punt this experience in, you know, sort of the nicer cinema and everything, and it just it wasn't great in that sort of aspect. And it's not the fault of the staff there, because they don't fix the seats, but somebody isn't coming in and doing that, you know.
I do feel, as I said when we're talking about Heretic, I genuinely, my heart did bleed for the people that were, because you know yourself, at Silverburn there's probably about 4 staff total. And they were scrambling to clean up the screens after, you know, it was either Gladiator 2 or Wicked, and we were just in a wee small screen, obviously, because we weren't seeing the big film that weekend, and they just looked exhausted. And I thought, this must be such a tough, especially on a weekend like that when it is a big film. And then, as you say, he's obviously tried to, unplug and replug in the seats, and
Yeah.
he's probably feeling embarrassed or whatever that it's not for a big chain. And I know they've got financial difficulties, but for a big chain, it's just not good enough.
No, it isn't good enough because they charge an uplift fee for these seats and everything, so, which I didn't bother pursuing them for because they weren't going to like issue a refund there. There was like, contact, here's an email address you can contact, that kind of idea, which again,
your email can go and die in a portal somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I watched a film called Gorgo on Talking Pictures TV, which is a monster from the deep film, which sounds very like Godzilla. And it is very like Godzilla. It was made in 1959, I think it was, or 1961. And it's basically, there is what was it? I think it may have been a bit of an explosion or something on outside of, I think it was Ireland, waters off Ireland. And this monster, which looks very like Godzilla, comes out of the water and
but
starts...
for copyright reasons, it's definitely not.
Yes, yeah. It's still a guy in a suit. It's still a guy in a bad suit smashing up small model villages and things like that. So, and it's done very cheaply. So what transpires in that film is that they capture the monster and they take him or her to London to exhibit in a circus. So it's all very sort of King Kong as well. But what they figure out is that Gorgo is only a baby. There is actually a mother out there as well, and the mother comes to obviously get the baby. So you've got a small child in a dinosaur suit and a rather tall adult in a dinosaur suit as well, smashing up all the highlights of London touristy.
Oh yes, did you have a montage of like the Houses of Parliament going and
all that sort of stuff?
Love that. Love it.
So that was rubbish. It was so obviously a rip-off of so many. I mean, these type of films, there was loads of them around about that time as well, and the director had done a few different sort of monster horror films as well. So that was a bit sort of rubbishy. Also now it's getting into sort of Christmassy season, things like that. So on Friday I was at the Kirky Cinema and for the dementia friendly showing, and it was Miracle on 34th Street, the original version of it, which was really good. I really like that. It's a cracking movie. For those who haven't seen it, it's basically Santa Claus gets put on trial because he claims he's Santa Claus, and the US government claims that he is not. He can't be Santa Claus because he's not real. And it's a courtroom drama, basically.
Honestly, both versions of that film make me sob my wee eyes out, but for different reasons. I think they're both really nicely done without being sort of twee.
And last Saturday, I was doing they do the monthly one, which is at the end of the last Saturday in the month, I think it is, for the Kirky Cinema. So it was Despicable Me 4 and Beetlejuice, which was fun as well.
How is that? Which
one?
Beetlejuice, the second.
It's good. Yeah, it's a really good film. I've seen it twice now, and it's kind of up there with the original film. It has the same sort of vibe, and Michael Keaton is just fantastic in it. And the fact that Beetlejuice always looked like shit anyway, and he looked horrible and beat up. And,
his aging doesn't matter.
Yeah. Because Michael Keaton still has the same sort of energy about him anyway, the same sort of manic energy, and it's really good. And Monica Bellucci's in it as well as Beetlejuice's ex-wife, and she is just fantastic. And she only has about 8 words or something in the whole film, but it's cracking, and there's a big musical number in that, and just it's really, really good.
To catch over Christmas. I always forget now that Monica Bellucci and Tim Burton are a couple. I think like I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, stranger things happen.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
But yes, that was really good, and I've got other ones coming up over the next. Actually, from today and next week, if it's school showings and things like that, I'm going to be working at, so that'll be quite fun as well.
It's going great guns. That's brilliant.
It's getting better. We're starting to get some people in. We have a Christmas one, which is on the 21st, at Kirky Town Hall, and it is the Polar Express and the Grinch they're showing. And we've got like the Polar Express is actually sold out. We've sold about 170 tickets for it, which is really good. That'll keep us going. Yeah, basically any money that we make from that goes towards film licenses and stuff.
That's brilliant.
So that's pretty much ensured us going until the end of the first year, which is like sort of June. So the Polar Express one, they're handing out wee sort of like Polar Express bells, and there's going to be the brass band playing as well, and we're going to have a ladies choir in between as well, doing like Christmas carols and things.
That's amazing.
So it should be pretty good. It should be good fun. It'll be busy, and it'll be pretty crazy at the tuck shop and everything as well, with lots of people and lots of stuff. I know. It's all good fun. So yeah, that's quite good. And we've got school showings 3 nights this week as well, which I'm going to be doing. So, and they're always good fun because the kids just totally love seeing films projected. It's just it's a bit of a different experience because they're in their school halls and stuff, but we've got the big screen and it's like decent sound and everything as well, so they all really enjoy that, and they all come along with their onesies on and all this sort of stuff, and, it's all good.
That sounds brilliant. That sounds so good.
I do have
tickets to go and see It's a Wonderful Life at the GFT. That'll just be a sob fest as it is.
Oh yeah. Completely, yes. So finishing up with TV stuff, I started watching Matlock, which is on Sky Living, I think it is, or whatever it's called these days. It's really kind of weird. It's Kathy Bates is a 75-year-old lawyer who needs a job in this new law firm, and her name is Madeline Matlock. And she says, just like the TV showed the 80s lawyer or 70s and 80s lawyer, it was mostly more US than here. It didn't really come across here at all. And it started out being one thing, as in just this sweet old lady who's actually quite good at her job and she's got insights, but there's a whole twist to it right at the very end of the first episode, and that's going to be the sort of the thread going through it for the rest of the series, which is actually quite good because you can kind of get suckered into thinking it's just one thing, and it could easily just have been that one thing, but the fact that they've got this different layer to it, I thought was quite nice as well. I've started watching again The Morning Show on Apple TV Plus. The third season of that it's been around for quite a while, but I'm just getting around to watching it now, and that's good. It's quality, high quality, glossy TV drama about TV, so all very nice. And finally, Shetland on BBC every Wednesday. It was originally based on the Conclave's books, I think it was, and it had Dougie Henshaw as the main detective, Jimmy, in it, and he left after 7 years, I think he was doing it, and for the last 2 seasons it's been Ashley Jensen as the main detective in it, and it's really good. It's going some really sort of batshit crazy places this time around, but it's right up there with Midsummer for the number of murders that happen in a very small place. But
and there's always lots of Scandi actors in that as well, because it's always like, they've just come over from the Faroe Islands or whatever it is, isn't there? Because I've had a few episodes of it, but I feel like I'd probably want to go back to the start and watch it all, because it does look really good.
It's worthwhile, and it's only 6 episodes per season, so
not bad,
it's easily digestible. They're all about an hour long, so it's fairly good, And like I said, I watched Immaculate as well, and I thought, this is fairly standard. And then about 3/4 of the way in, I went, what the actual fuck? I just thought, okay, that's not what I expected to see on screen. Thank you very much. Starting with the old wee snip of the tongue, and then I thought, and then it just went completely like way left field from there, and and the last couple of minutes have been kind of etched onto my eyeballs. So yes, that's just Sydney Sweeney did all the acting there.
Yes, there was a lot of a lot of
last
stutters and a lot of red faces. Do you know what? I did like it, but there was some of the stuff where I was just like, well, that would never, like, if you've been injured in that way, you could not then do X, Y, and Z or something.
Yes.
So that kind of stuff in films always annoys me, though. I feel like that always takes me out of it. Like, if you've been, you know, I don't know, if somebody's trying to cut you up, like, there's no way you are then running through a field to try and escape from somewhere. So that kind of, whereas I appreciate in films where if somebody gets, you know, clattered over the head with a frying pan or whatever it is, that they struggle to get back up. I appreciate the realism of the violence, you know. So yeah. So that's me. Also, furthers my thing that nuns make for great, like, nuns are scarier than priests when it comes to horror films, I think.
Oh God, yeah. I think it's got to do with the fact that for a lot of the time they are in the background, which we will talk about obviously when we're doing a main review. But yes, they are there to carry out chores and not really have an opinion on anything. So yes, the fact that they're so fucking evil as well. I'm not really giving anything away by saying there may be an evil nun or two in this film. So yeah.
I'm so proud of our stats on the Spotify Wrapped. Like, genuinely, the amount of people that obviously must have tuned in, even if it's just for one episode, I'm so, like, touched, because obviously we just do this for fun on a Sunday. Like, it's we don't we're not like the Empire Film Podcast or something like that. And actually, it's so encouraging, because it does mean that people are listening and coming back and actually wanting to be part of it all. I think that's really lovely.
Yeah, it's nice. It really is, because, you know, you sometimes feel as if you are just speaking into the void.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm assuming they're all listening from some sort of facility. And that they just can't escape to turn the button to someone. The speaker's too high up on the wall. They can't reach it. Yeah, exactly. So,
it would be. I mean, it is very nice, but it would be disconcerting if we were the podcast of choice in Guantanamo. You know, so.
I know, because I read once that they played Barry Manilow's Copacabana. Imagine being the alternative to that.
Yeah. So yes, you just never know. But yeah, it's good. Well, and we may get stats back from some of the other ones as well.
Yeah.
Podbean do their end of year stuff and all that. But it was quite nice with the Spotify ones. It's always good, the Spotify creator things.